This story begins in the northern territory of the eastern continent in the world of Azimuth. Forests of evergreens blanket the valleys between tall mountain tops. This land used to be the seat of a large dwarven kingdom 1,000 years ago, but now is populated only by small villages and tribes of orcs, goblins, wild men, and Goliaths, as well as beasts and monsters. That is, except for the city of Brightstone. This city was built in a valley and into the mountainsides by the ancient dwarves, and has been restored to a bustling hub of the region, and the only major power in a wild and dangerous territory. This city also acts as the entranceway to the dwarven city of Hammerdeep. They say the mines and tunnels there go all the way down to the Underdark. This is where a large group of adventurers set off from 3 days ago. 15 members of the Adventurers Guild set out to capture a pair of towers held by goblins, an almost too easy task given the group's size. They had begun to set up camp in the early afternoon, a few hours' walk from the tower, to prepare and plan an assault on the towers. Winter has just broken, and the snow is partially melted, but it still remains cold in the area. As supplies were being unloaded, the group was ambushed by a large pack of orcs. The battle becomes bloody and chaotic as the group begins to fight the orcs. Though the party fights bravely, and the battle is close and hard fought, in the end, a few orcs are the only things left standing. But this is not the end of this story. No, it is the beginning. A few of the group members wake up feeling their strength and life force return to them. As they come to consciousness, battered and bloody, they find themselves stripped of everything but their clothing as an orc throat cutter is finishing off fellow adventurers. Beaten and bloody, adventurers begin desperate fighting and scavenging whatever weapons are around them. When the fighting is over, they look around and only 5 adventurers are left standing. There's a tall human. He wears dark clothes. His face is covered by a thick beard and a nasty scar. This is Talion, a ranger from the wildlands of the south. The wildlands rangers rarely venture this far north, but Talion is committed to pushing back the darkness from this dangerous land. There is an elf. This is Duwal, a high elf noble from the western part of the continent. He is a paladin in the service of Kappa, a river god mysterious to most in the world. He felt the signs that this is where Kappa wanted him, and his faith never questioned the signs he was given. There is also a Luxodon named Zoomdon. Luxodons are a humanoid race with the features of an elephant. Standing at 7.5 feet tall, he's rather thin for his kind. He is a druid sent by his people to this land to learn about the northern Luxodon. There is also a Kalishtar named Vakad. Though they look human, they are a race bonded with part of a spirit from a dream world. He has come here pursuing the enemy of his people, the dreaming dark. Finally, there's a Warforge, an artificial life created from wood, stone, and metal. The ancient dwarves invented these beings 1,000 years ago, but they, along with their creations, had died off. A forge master beneath Brightstone managed to recreate a few of these warforged during the war with the orcs a few years ago. His master is now gone, and Unit 5318008 searches for his purpose. The group of adventurers look around. Duwal talks to some friendly squirrels in the area to find out where the attackers went, while Talion scouts out the tracks he can find. They discover the orcs headed to the goblin towers that the group was sent to capture. Despite being short on men and supplies, the group decides to continue on with their mission to take the towers. They set up camp for the night, with Duwal and the Warforged standing guard. During the night, Duwal gets a dream. Elves don't sleep like other races. They only sleep 4 hours a night, and during that time they dream. But elves don't dream like normal people. When they are young, they see visions of their previous lives. Elves are reincarnated from one life to the next. As they get older, they see more memories from their current lives and less from their previous lives, until the veil comes and they can no longer see their past lives, and thus they are considered adults. It has been 30 years since Duval had his veil. In the beginning he sees familiar visions. His first meeting with Kappa that changed his life. A vision he sees more than any other. He sees his life and even his journey to the north. But then he sees something he has no memory of. A vision not from his memories. He sees fire. He smells burning wood and flesh, and the sound of a roar that makes him shudder and is so frightening he is awakened. If it was anyone else, you would call it a nightmare. But elves don't get nightmares. The next day they approach the tower. Scouting the area, Talion determines that the tower to the right side has far fewer enemies in it. As well as that, it seems that is the tower the orcs that ambushed them visited. They don't have anyone strong enough to break down the door bare-handed, and none of them have any skill at lockpicking. Looking through the keyway, they're able to spot a goblin at the far side of the room. Duval uses the command spell to get the goblin to open the door. They all rush in and have a bloody battle with the goblins and bugbears on the first floor, then charge up the stairs fighting more of the goblins until they reach the top floor. The goblin boss is prepared, not taken by surprise like the lower floors. Piling up at the door to the top floor's entrance, the party prepares to charge the room. Zoomdon takes the lead, morphing into a tiger and mauling the first goblin guarding the door. Before the goblin boss is able to take action, Duval uses another command spell. The goblin boss is unable to resist the magic and is distracted, spending the next few seconds attempting to pleasure himself as he was commanded. The rest of the group launches brutal attacks. Vekhad and the Warforged both reduce enemies to ash with their divine magic. As the goblin boss attempts to recover, he tries to leap over the table and make an attack, but with his pants still undone, he trips and falls onto his face. The group capture him, but interrogation does not go well, and they end up finishing the leader off. As they look around the top of the tower, recovering their stolen gear, they see two sets of windows, one looking outside and the other on the opposite wall. In the window facing into the mountainside, they see that it looks down upon a large cavern. In this cavern, it is faintly lit by a pink haze blanketing the floor that has a slight glow to it. In the middle of this cavern is a creature, massive in size, maybe 100 feet long. It has plates covering its entire body and spines going all the way down its tail. It does not move, yet its aura sends chills even from this far away. Todd feels the Qurai soul that is bonded with his bloodline cry out within him. It is the strongest he has ever felt the Qurai presence since he ran into the dreaming dark. His holy symbol grows cold, and it sends chills down his whole body. Just as they are struck by this sight, they see a shadow appear in the window on the opposite side. A figure leaps into the room. It's a panther. On top of the panther, there is a figure, a halfling man in a green cloak. He has brown hair and brown eyes with rough skin and a coarse beard. He carries a short bow. Talion recognizes equipment. He is a Wildlands ranger. The halfling speaks. "Hello there. I'm Falco Amberdale. Don't worry, I don't mean you no harm. I was hunting goblins in these towers, but I guess you took care of this tower yourself. I hunt goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and bugbears. They call me the Greenskin Hunter. I'm guessing you all are adventurers from Brightstone. I was wondering if you might lead me to the city. You all look pretty beat up, so I'm sure you could use the help getting back." Talion cautiously talks to the strange figure that appeared in front of them, asking questions about who he knows from the Rangers, trying to determine if this man's story is true. Falco mentions several ranking members within the organization, including Talion's late father. After some further questions, it seems that Falco didn't know anything about the plan to attack the towers or the monster within the cave. The party decides it's best to avoid getting any closer to the huge monster and that they should go back to the guild to find out more. After searching the tower, they find documents, seemingly written in Goblin, as well as an immovable rod and a magical cloak of unknown power. After several days, they arrive in the city of Brightstone. It is a large city surrounded on three sides by steep mountains that make up a U-shape. The last side, which the party approaches from, has a massive wall rising up from it. It was built by the ancient dwarves who lived here 1,000 years ago, and repaired by the dwarves of Hammerdeep when they resettled their underground city, although it is controlled by the humans who rule Brightstone. As they get close, they see dozens of tents along the wall near one of the gatehouses, and large 7 to 8 foot tall, gray-skinned Goliaths covered in black tribal tattoos, milling about the tents. Valko goes ahead of them to talk to the guild, riding on top of his panther, Snowball. As they enter the gatehouse, they see a bustling city with all different types of races. Humans, rock gnomes covered in soot from the workshop, dwarves trading for goods, halflings, red-skinned tieflings with black horns, elves, and even a tabaxi. They see beady yellow eyes down a dark alleyway that disappear as soon as they appear. As you get further into the city, the more stone and less wood is used to make the buildings, and the architecture looks older. When you get about halfway to the entranceway to Hammerdeep, and turn off to the left, and head almost all the way to the mountainside, you reach the Guild Hall. The Guild Hall is a large rectangular building, with the first floor being made of stone, and the second floor being made out of wood. Entering the building, there is a staircase in the middle of the room that leads to the second floor, which mostly consists of rooms rented to adventurers. To the left, there's a large open room filled with tables and chairs for seating and a long bar against the wall. To the right, there are countertops, and behind that there are a bunch of offices. These are used by guild representatives to organize the adventurers. Pacing in front of the counter is a nervous-looking half-elf man who the party recognizes, who approaches them when he sees them. This is Reginald Silverleaf, the guild representative who organized this expedition. He's an elderly half-elf man with long silver hair. Though he is older, being a half-elf, he shows few signs of age. He wears a black vest and a white shirt like all the other guild representatives milling about behind him. "I am glad to see you back here. Your strange friend came here a bit ago and explained a bit of what happened. Come with me. You're going to want to talk to the guild master." As they walk past the offices to the back, there are busy-looking people all dressed in the same shirt and vest that Reginald is wearing, working behind desks or walking around. They enter an office on the back side of the wall labeled Guildmaster. Sitting behind a large desk is a human man. He is slightly bigger than average with a muscular frame. He has short black hair and dark green eyes. He doesn't look like he could be older than his early 30s, but his 5 o'clock shadow and tired expression would almost make you think otherwise. He wears a dark red arming coat that fits tightly. To his left, against the wall, is an armor stand that has a poleaxe leaned against it and a set of plate armor on it. Over the breastplate is a tabard the same color as his jacket, and embroidered into it in black stitching is a large symbol of a hooded woman with her hands clasped in front of her and wings coming out of her back. He looks over and begins introducing himself. "I am Titus Valorian, Guildmaster, Second Prince, Champion of Brightstone, Crown Paladin of the Goddess Valor, and so on and so on. I don't think you came here to listen to my lofty titles. I need to know what happened to you, and then I can answer any of the questions you may have." The party begins to tell the story of what happened, from the orc attack to the monster they saw on top of the tower. The guildmaster nods, seemingly unsurprised. "The news doesn't look good. The fact that orcs and goblins are working together is not a good sign. The orc war a few years ago left the tribes around here weak. I wonder what they are up to. As for the monster you saw, that's our main problem. You see, that is a Tarask. A monster said to be powerful enough to kill gods. A while ago, a powerful divination wizard foretold that the Tarask would awaken. He is very powerful and seldom wrong. Even still, I had to confirm that it was true. After all, the only mentions of it are in ancient stories that are not well known. I sent your group to secure the location after we discovered it was controlled by goblins. Your report confirms my fears. Now, I don't know if it'll wake up in a month or in 5 years, but we still need a plan for when it does. I know most of you have not been with the guild long, but I need you. With the men we have lost, I'm severely short-handed, and to be honest, this city may be on the verge of collapse anyway. I need you to stop the chaos in this city, gather allies and weapons, and finally, stop the Tarask. I know I'm asking a lot from you, but if we don't stop it here, the whole world could be in danger. The party looks around. These people don't know each other well, and each of them has their own motivations for being here, but each one of them agrees to help. Titus looks at them. Great. Well, get some rest. I'll call you for your next assignment.